It was supposed to be just another high-profile interview, a glamorous evening filled with flashing cameras, elegant suits, and polite conversation. The city's most talked about billionaire, Ethan Cole, had finally agreed to sit down for a rare, exclusive interview. Known for his charm, business genius, and a reputation that walked the thin line between brilliance and arrogance, everyone expected it to be headline worthy. But no one could have predicted how quickly things would spiral out of control. The interviewer, Mia Sanders, had prepared for weeks. She wasn't easily intimidated. She'd faced politicians, celebrities, and tycoons before. But something about Ethan that night felt off. As she walked into his luxurious penthouse studio, the scent of expensive whiskey filled the air. The man who greeted her wasn't the polished billionaire the world admired. He was clearly intoxicated, his confidence tipping into something darker. At first, Mia tried to stay professional. The cameras rolled, and the questions began. Ethan laughed too loudly, interrupted her constantly, and leaned in closer than necessary. His words were charming at first, but quickly turned careless. He began boasting about his success, mocking his rivals, and even throwing sly, disrespectful comments toward Mia. The crew shifted uncomfortably behind the cameras, unsure whether to keep recording or stop the chaos unfolding before them. Mia kept her composure, determined to steer the interview back on track. But Ethan didn't stop. His arrogance grew, his tone sharper, as if he was testing how far he could push her. The tension in the room was thick, every eye fixed on the unfolding drama. And then, in one shocking moment, he crossed the line with a remark so disrespectful that it shattered the thin wall of patience Mia had held onto. What happened next left everyone frozen in disbelief. The sound echoed through the silent room, one sharp slap that brought the mighty billionaire crashing down from his pedestal. But that wasn't the end, because what followed that moment changed everything. The room went completely silent after that slap. For a few long seconds, no one dared to move. Ethan's confident smirk disappeared, replaced by shock and disbelief. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every second of what would soon become one of the most talked about moments in the media world. Mia's hand trembled slightly, but her eyes didn't waver. She had reached her limit, not out of anger, but out of sheer frustration at the man who thought money gave him power over respect. Ethan slowly straightened in his chair, trying to collect himself. The whiskey on the table, the half-empty glass, the mess of scattered interview notes, everything suddenly looked out of place. For a man used to controlling every narrative, this was unfamiliar territory. Behind the lens, the production crew exchanged uneasy glances, unsure whether to stop the recording or keep capturing what could become viral in minutes. Mia's heart pounded. She hadn't planned for this. She was just there to do her job. But as she stood there facing the billionaire, she realized this moment might expose more than just his arrogance. There was something deeper about Ethan Cole's behavior that night, something hidden beneath the surface. The alcohol wasn't the only thing clouding his mind. He looked at her, his voice quieter now, almost broken. "You have no idea what's really going on," he muttered. Those words caught her off guard. For a brief second, she saw something in his eyes, not just pride or anger, but pain. Before she could respond, one of his assistants rushed in, whispering something urgently into his ear. Ethan's expression shifted again, this time to panic. He stood abruptly, knocking over the glass. "We're done here," he said sharply, storming out of the room. But as the door slammed shut, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that this story was far from over. Mia stood in stunned silence as the door slammed behind Ethan. The sound echoed in her ears long after he was gone. The crew slowly started to pack up their equipment, whispering among themselves about what had just happened. None of them knew whether to delete the footage or guard it like gold. Deep down, Mia knew this interview was no longer just about business. It was the start of something much bigger, something darker. Later that night, as she sat alone in her apartment, the whole scene replayed in her mind. The arrogance, the sudden fear in Ethan's eyes, and those strange final words. You have no idea what's really going on. She couldn't ignore it. For years, she had built her career on uncovering truths hidden behind polished smiles and powerful names. This time, it felt personal. Meanwhile, across the city, Ethan was pacing inside his mansion. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Investors, board members, and media outlets all wanted answers. His public image, once spotless, was crumbling fast.